Welcome back to the Shut the Hell Up and Sell podcast. I am your host, Ronell Richards, the author of Shut the Hell Up and Sell. I want to welcome you guys in. I've got a special guest today. I'm really excited to have this conversation. But before we get this started, I just want to thank you for taking the time to hang out with us. I know how important it is, how important your time is. And there's just no greater honor than you spending a little bit of time with us. So, I consider it my duty, our duty, to give you guys some rock solid stories, some fantastic, practical, pragmatic advice and direction so you can go out there and kill it. That's what it's about. So we're going to hop right into it. No more pontificating from this guy. We're going to hop right into this because I've got a very good friend of mine that is joining today. Everyone's a good friend. You guys are probably listening. You're like, oh, Ron, everyone's a good friend. Yes, they're all good friends. I'm a lucky dude. What can I say? My friends are cooler than a lot of other people's. It just is what it is. But today I've got my friend Mary Henderson on. And Mary, how are you doing? It's my evening, your morning. How are you?
I'm brilliant, outstanding, indestructible today for you, Ronald. I'm all fired up.
I love it. Indestructible. That's a first. Yeah. that is first for the few of you out there that don't know Mary, because she does such a fantastic job she's done such a fantastic job of building her brand and amplifying her brand, which is a term I use a lot. You guys probably have heard me say that, man, her reach is just phenomenal. Here's Mary, here's why I have so much respect for that, is that there are so many people out there talking about brand building and talking about marketing, and yet their own brands and their own marketing sucks. How can you tell me about mine if you don't have yours together? So I don't want to steal your thunder. I want to ask you to go ahead and let our audience know what it is that you do, what it is that you give to the world.
Oh, yes. Thank you. It's my pleasure. So I help industry experts. That's my area of expertise. I help them systemize, digitalize, and commercialize their knowledge, wisdom, and skill into a brand and a business. That's the short of it. And it is, you're rightly saying that personal branding space. The thing that we have to ask ourselves is, if you can't commercialize a personal brand, what do you do with it? So yeah. That's the key, isn't it?
Absolutely, man. I got to tell you, like, just on a personal note, again, guys, personal friend, you've been such it brought so much value to me. You said something the other day. You said something, a piece of marketing, email marketing. Wasn't you? It was probably your team, but it was so on point. And I responded that. I'm like, wow, it brought so much value to me on that day. I'm like, man, this is what Mary's all about. So, guys, make sure that you're following Mary. All right. So this show, it's all about sales. It's all about sales. And most importantly, I think that the difference or the message that I'm bringing and the difference that we're making in this world of sales is teaching people how to build a sales business, not just be a better seller. That's easy. Everyone's talking about that. Here's a tactic. I want to talk about how to build a business, how to build a career. And that's what we do. So I want to ask you, my first question to you is, what's the first sales job you ever had? When's the first time you got paid to sell something?
My very first sales job, believe it or not, is I was in the media industry, and I didn't finish. I deferred my degree, Ronell, and I started my career in the sales department in one of our largest TV stations here in Australia. And I was only a coordinator. It was only a coordinator role, and I really wanted to sell. Like, I was desperate to get out there and be, a sales rep. We call them sales representatives here. Anyway, so that's kind of like the lower ranking salespeople. And then I was so ambitious, and I was offered this job in a publishing company to sell space in magazines. And they weren't like A-type magazines. They were more like, very industry-specific type magazines. I didn't like publishing, but I loved selling. Like, I I was made to sell, and that was the first time when I really came face to face. I was young, like I was 21, 22 thereabouts, and I had no clue. They didn't have sales training back then, Ronelle. We had to do it as we went to teach ourselves as you go along. And I think that's the best way to learn sales, because it's not about, it's not about, I mean, maybe today there's a lot of tools that we use, to help us, close the sale. But I still think the premise of sales stays the same. It's all about relationship building, understanding the customer needs, blah, blah, blah. But my first job was, and I spent so much time in my car driving from one appointment to the other, and the great thing about sales is that it does give you a lifestyle. So you really, your ego gets inflated very, very quickly at a very young age, and you kind of think that you are seriously indestructible. Here I am in my little sports car at 22, I just thought I've made it, but it wasn't that. It was, I think, what it was a perfect match to my personality. I think that's the key.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned, how when we started in sales, you learned, there was a lot of OJT, right? You learn on the job. You had, folks that may put their arm around you and taught you what to do. And I think that's something that, in this information age that we're currently in, where we have so much easy access to information, I feel like in some ways, newer sellers can be at a disadvantage because they're getting less of that nurturing, less of that coaching, less of that one-on-one mentorship, especially in this post-COVID era, the hybrid work era. Folks aren't getting as much of that like you and I got. So I want to ask you at this point, this is when I like to ask you to shout out one of those unsung heroes. No doubt you had so many people just like I did. But I'd like you to tell us about one person that made an impact and how they made that impact with you and what lesson you learned from you or what lesson they taught you.
I think that, outside of, my mentors who have created massive impact in my life, I think from a career standpoint, the one person that was that sliding door moment, if you will, was when I got my first big break in the tech industry. And that was back in year 2000, 22 years ago. It's a long time. But remember 1999, year 2000, that was, everyone wanted to be in the tech space. And it took me a long time to crack that code and get a sales job in the tech industry because I had no experience. Remember, I came from a media background. And it was interesting because my boss, who became my boss, she actually employed me on the spot. Like I didn't go through the whole process. And, in technology, you go through 22 interviews before you get the job. And so she saw something in me that spoke to her. And this is actually I might give you one of those pragmatic advice, when we get to that place. But, she saw something in me that validated my self-worth and also what I believed I could do, Ronelle. That was the key here because I knew I could sell. I knew what I was capable of doing. And her name was Marlene Gant. And I left. I didn't stay in that job for very long because I got, I progressed very quickly in my career. But if it wasn't for her, actually, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today, honestly, because it was in that job where I actually came face to face with personal branding. So that's where I started to learn and the power of personal branding from that one job. And, and it's kind of led me to where I am now. So sometimes we don't like the people we work with or even our bosses. But when you reflect back, you think, if it wasn't for her, I actually wouldn't be here today.
Wow. Leaders, I want you to listen to it. And when I say leaders, I'm not talking about people in management. Anyone can be a leader. What I heard from that story is one, the power of I want to say giving some empowerment, almost like she helped validate you. Like she gave you confidence. She helped to build your confidence. She gave you an opportunity, helped to build your confidence. Let you know you could make it happen. Number one. Number two, you didn't work with her for years.
No.
This was, a short period of time, but it speaks to me and just the power of how quality interaction and quality engagement, the impact that you can make in someone's life or someone can make in your life. So leaders, the lesson I'm getting in that is, man, really, really understand how important these interactions that you have with other people are and how you can make a massive impact. I had a similar story that I talk about in the book, Mary, and what inspired this whole segment of the podcast is the story of the gold watch in my book. And that was literally 15 minutes that I spent with this gentleman over the course of 2 days that impacted the rest of my life and helped to form my philosophy on sales. So, man, powerful story. Shout out to Marlene. Shout out to Marlene. All right. It's storytelling time, Mary. And if there's one thing I know about Mary Henderson, is she can tell a good damn story. So it's storytelling time. This is the time for you to share a story, just right in line with what we've done in the book, which is share stories to better educate people and help them to understand why we believe the way that we believe, which helps to fuel our actions, which helps to fuel the tactical execution, which in this world, we were just talking about all of the tools, right? Like you were talking about the tools and all. We've got all of this shit that we can use. Problem is we don't know how to use it because we don't have the right philosophies. We don't have the right foundation that influences how to use this stuff properly. All right. So storytelling time. So now I would like you to share a story from your career, from your life, and tell me how that story has impacted the way that you do business or your philosophy in business.
Absolutely. So going back to that story that I just shared about the shout out with Marlene. There's a couple of parts of that story, and I really want to give the whole context because there's a lot of juicy bits in here. What I didn't say in that story, and then when I'll start in this story, is that when I got that job in that tech industry, which was the largest IT distribution company in the world, what I didn't say is that it took me 9 months of persistence before I actually landed the right job. So imagine applying for 150 jobs, having 43 face-to-face interviews with different tech companies, being rejected by all of the 150 and the 43 face-to-face interviews. And then one day you get a phone call and the personal assistant to my boss, Marlene, she calls and says, Marlene has just found your CV underneath a stack of papers in the Melbourne office. The sales manager had your CV 6 months ago and placed it underneath a pile of papers, and he's no longer with us. And as she was cleaning out his desk, she stumbled across your CV, and she wants to fly you to Sydney this Friday to meet with you. And so the reason why I'm starting there is because that job changed the trajectory of my life. So I had to wait and go through that whole experience of applying for 150 jobs, 43 face-to-face interviews to always come in as the runner-up. Always the runner-up. And so you can lose, your own self-confidence just by that level of rejection. And sales is all about rejection. If you can't handle rejection, get out of sales. So anyway, I got this job, which was amazing. And then on my first day of that job, my boss, Marlene, says, hey, I've got great news and I've got really bad news. The great news is you have an opportunity of a lifetime, like quite literally an opportunity of a lifetime. The bad news is that the account that you're going to be working on, they're a declining $8 million business right now. They're about to walk away from us. We're about to lose the account, and you've got 12 weeks to save it because all of your predecessors couldn't save the account. So we're at breaking point now, and they're about to pull it all away. So I'm thinking, wow, all of that waiting period to get this dream job, and now I've got 12 weeks to fix it. Again, she must have seen something in me, Ronelle, that I hadn't recognized at the time. So I go to meet the the client, and there's about, I don't know, 8-10 people in this boardroom kind of scenario. And I'm having this conversation. I'm really enthusiastic, blah, blah, blah. And they're all like, that was when the first, not smartphone, but the first Nokia came out. It was like a digital screen. You probably remember that. And so everyone was on, playing with their new toys, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm sitting there thinking, so where is the person who was the head of that department? I said, when is she coming? And they said, oh, no, she won't be coming. She's not joining us. And I was like, okay, so what are we doing here type of thing. And so I left that meeting. I go into the lift, and there's this woman in the lift. I'm wearing red snakeskin boots. Okay, so I'm on brand. So the lift door opens, red snakeskin boots, really high stilettos, all decked out. And this woman, she's behind me, and she's like, oh, I have to have those red boots. Where did you get those red boots? And I looked at her and I said, is your name such and such? And she said, yes. And I said, well, I'm Mary, and you were supposed to be in my meeting, and, you didn't show up. And she said, well, that's because we're actually pulling our business away from you guys. Why would I why would I attend a meeting, if when we're leaving you, see you later? No one was able to fix the problem. And I said, so the lift is going down at this point. So I said, are you going down to have lunch? And she said, yes. I said, let me buy you a coffee at the very least. I just need 10 minutes of your time. And she said, no, look, we've really made a decision. I said, 10 minutes, I'll tell you where I bought the red boots from. And she just laughed, and she said, okay, let's have a coffee. So we sit down and have a coffee. And she said, okay, how do you think you can fix it? I said, I need to sit with your operations team for 12 weeks in your office. I need to understand your system, and I'm going to take that information. I'm going to go back to our company. I'm going to match it with our system. I can fix the problem. I think like that. I know how to fix the problem. And she said, okay, Mary, I'm going to give you 12 weeks, 12 weeks and 1 day. If it's not fixed, it's over. I said, yes, it's over. Let's shake on that. It's over. So anyway, I'm crossing the road. I paused for a moment, and I thought, holy moly, what just happened then? Because a couple of things happened. First of all, we had a like-minded zone, which was our connection point, the red boots. I know it's funny, but it's what I call a like-minded zone. Till this day, I still use this strategy, because if you can't find a like-minded zone, our like-minded zone was fashion. Okay. So every time I walked into that office, I would make sure I would wear my best shoes, my best something, because I knew it would start a conversation with her. I would get her attention, right? That was the first thing. The second thing that happened, Ronelle, I recognized in that very moment, okay, I've got not just an opportunity, I've got a global opportunity. I've got an opportunity to create a brand and be recognized as a complex problem solver in the tech industry. And I'm going to command my demand. I'm going to create a brand around myself, and I'm going to get every IT vendor knocking on my door. That was my driver and my mindset. So I go in my car, I go back to the office, and I ring my boss, and I said, we're in for another 12 weeks. I know how to fix the problem. And she said, well, good luck, Mary. I hope so. Anyway, I ended up fixing the problem. We went from 8 million to 22 million in 18 months with double-digit margins, which never, ever, ever happens in the tech industry. We're lucky to get 1% margin in the tech industry. I was getting 10 and 12%. Not only that, but our fulfillment rates, like logistically, were so high that I actually became the highest salesperson in that company globally. Like we had a recession in between that job while I was at that job, and they were getting rid of all these people. I was the number one salesperson on that list. Do not get rid of these people. And so the moral to the story is this, that in sales, we have to learn persistence, because persistence can change the trajectory of our whole life. We can cross paths with someone and that 15 minutes with a gold watch could be the game changer. Okay. For me, it was landing the right job at the right time with the right company that would open up other doors for me. Number two is that I understood the power of establishing a like-minded zone, that I knew that if fashion was her thing, it was my thing too, and I was going to amplify that. And number three, I understood the power of personal branding 22 years ago. And not only did I understand the power of personal branding, but I I understood how to create an entire framework around it. And that's where my career led me. I did get headhunted by a multinational out of California, and I became VP of sales. I had a massive sales team, and as they say, the rest is history. But they're the three, that's a story that I really want to share.
Boy, there was so much in that. It's almost difficult for me to break it down.
I know.
there was so much.
So much, I know.
As we started this conversation, I talked about how with Shut the Hell Up and Sell, what we're about is helping people to build a sales business. And you just killed it with that story and explaining the importance of it, but not just the importance of how to do it, right? So how the importance of your brand and that's something that is in the book. And I talk about the sellers understanding that you're building your own business within the business. And that's what you did. I don't know how you had the foresight to think to do that at 22, because I certainly didn't, but you understood that, hey, I am building a business for myself, and what I do with this customer and how I handle this customer, there's an opportunity here. There's an opportunity in this mess for me to become a hero and to lay the groundwork for this great brand that you would build. And tell me, how did that experience, that building the brand, how did that impact you later in your career? That specific story you just told.
It was huge, because suddenly I was starting to become recognized by all the big global software brands, or IT brands, Microsoft, Norton. All of them. It was just phenomenal. And so when I was headhunted by the company out in California, Belkin, it was really interesting, because they headhunted me based on the results that I was getting for the account that I was working on. And so everyone started to talk about me. Everyone was talking about, and the thing is, Ronelle, there's another thing I didn't mention about this, and I think this is really important. When we're building a brand, when we're defining who we are as a brand, we have to actually understand, and in sales especially, what is our brand signature? This is the thing that I started to work on very early in my career, from that job onwards. And what I realized is that my shoes became my sales signature. I know it sounds really funny and weird, but the thing is, I invested in the most hottest, sexiest shoes, very expensive. That was the one thing I spent a lot of money on. Why did I do that? Because every time I would walk in, especially when I got headhunted by the VP sales job out in California, when I would walk in and negotiate, I would be negotiating 99% of the time with men, but the PA would always walk in and offer me a coffee or a glass of water or something like that, and the first thing that they would do is zoning on my shoes. So the PA would say, "Oh, Mary, oh my God, I love those shoes. Where did you get them from?" So now think about the psychology here. I'm in a room with dark suits negotiating a contract, a deal, whatever it was that we were doing at the time. It was very seldom to see women in that role, at that senior role, negotiating. But what did I do? The PA would get my attention for the first 10 seconds. So I owned that room in that first 10 seconds. All eyes were on me. So I was building energy around Mary so that I could actually be in that state of that. Everyone was looking at me and focused on me because I wanted to own that power. So the shoes became my draw card. It was very, very powerful, and it became a part of my signature. But then also when I looked at my sales team, and this is probably the most important thing I can share in this podcast today, is that, you know, when I became a VP of sales and I had a massive sales team, I could have done two things. Done what everybody else does, which is have a room full of salespeople that have job descriptions, and they go out and do a function, right, which is to sell. I didn't want that. I wanted my salespeople to be brands. So what did I do? I sat them in a boardroom, 30 of them, and I got my whiteboard out and I said, okay, I'm going to go around the room. I want every one of you to tell me all of your attributes. I want to know about your family, your passions, your gifts, your talents, the loves of your life. Oh, just tell me who you are, you as a person. I'm not interested in the job description. I just want to know who you are in your natural state of being. Now think of the power here. So now there's 30 people that have told me who they are in their natural state of being. I go away, I assess that data, and I come back and I say, right, you are going to manage this account. You're going to manage this account, and you're going to manage this account because you are aligned with that type of account, that type of personality, that kind of, you're going to be the brand in that environment because they're going to resonate with you a lot more than if you just walked in and said, hey, I'm Mary Henderson and I'm a sales, I'm a BDM. Who cares? Care factor 0. So we threw all of our job descriptions in the bin and we became brands. Now, isn't it amazing that those people would come to work every day and they would say, I love coming to work because I can be myself. I mean, think about the power here. Every one of my salespeople, and I'm talking the 20-year-olds, the 25-year-olds, 23, they were all earning six figures, all of them. All of them were earning six figures. They all drove prestige cars. They were killing it. Why? Why did that happen? It happened because they were allowed to be themselves. It happened because they were building their own brands so they can expand their wings and get on with their career after Mary had left. And I think that is such an important aspect of sales that most people don't get.
I'm over here going timeout, blow the whistle, like you're dropping. You just dropped a megaton bomb right there. And I do not want it to get missed. You just dropped a next level strategy for sales leaders, managers, people. Listen, how often as we're thinking about aligning our sellers to either prospect accounts or existing accounts, how often are we thinking like you just laid it out? We're not. We're thinking about geography usually. That's usually it. It was geography. And listen, here's why this is so important right now. Things are getting tough. It's not going to get easier here in 23, especially for a lot of our listeners that are in tech and tech related industries. It is what it is. However, what you just learned from Mary is that when you're building a brand and you're doing things the right way, you're going to be fine. Economic downturns, whatever, you're going to be in demand. There's always somebody that needs to be sold. There's always some people that are looking for the best talent. Number one. Number two, you really, as leaders, we need to be thinking about next level strategies to give us the edge over our competition. So aligning your sellers with, based upon criteria way beyond just geography. Timmy lives in Atlanta. This customer, let's go with that. No, man, we've got to do better. We've got to do more. I love that. Guys, rewind that, listen to that again, record it, transcribe it. put it on, put it in your office, put it in your car. That was next level. And I almost, Mary, now you've made it so difficult on me because you're just dropping so many bombs today. I haven't even asked you your practical advice yet. And you've already given like a half a dozen things. All right. That was fantastic. Thanks again for that share. Now I'm going to, I know you've got more. You're rapid fire. All right. Now I'm going to ask you for your practical advice. And as a reminder to our audience, this is something that you can take. You can already take like 10 things away from this, but this is something you can take away from this episode and go immediately apply it to your business to start seeing some success. Simple, pragmatic, practical. Before you go and immediately take this from this episode, immediately apply it. Listen to all the other episodes, okay? Listen to all the episodes, right? I want you armed up. If you're listening to this at the beginning of the year, which you probably are, this is going to be a great way for you to get ready, to get fired up, to get motivated, to go out there and smash it. As that everyone says, crush it. Now I'm going to go smash. I like smashing better.
I like smash it.
Crushing's overused. All right. So now it's practical advice. What you got, Mary?
You know what? I'm going to go a different route with this one. I think that I want to share something that I've really, really, really zoned in on, even today as I'm selling. We sell every day, right? When we sell, we're always focused on, the features, the benefits, doing a gap analysis, understanding what the client needs and matching it with the solution. It's very linear thinking, okay? And sales is linear, okay? You have to have that pragmatic, common sense, linear type of, approach because you've got to you've got to find something and close a gap. That's a given. But there's something else that we don't talk about, and that's this. When we're selling, we have to remember that whilst there's two physical people negotiating, there's also two souls feeling each other as well. How many times have we sold and you feel something's not right, this person's lying, or this person's, just there's something just not right about this room, these people, this manager, something doesn't feel right. And to me, when someone's lying, your soul knows and the other soul knows because there's two conversations going on that we cannot see, but we can feel. And I think that when we're selling, we really need to take this into account. I do this all the time. So if I'm selling and I'm making shit up, that other person will know, right? They will know immediately. But if I speak from my heart and be honest and truthful, and that buyer doesn't buy, it's okay because 9 times out of 10, they do a full circle and they'll come back at some point. So we don't have to put the pressure on the sale. What we have to understand is that there's a soul conversation going on, and that other soul will know if you are clean and legitimate and caring and loving. And I think that we've got to go there moving forward rather than filling the gap and just sell just to meet our quota. I actually feel that those days are gone. I think that we've got to go more on a heart, more from the heart, being pragmatic, but also bring the heart into the mix in a massive way.
So do you have some advice on how to either get yourself in the proper mindset for that or to create reminders for it? Because one of the things that I want, like we try to do in the book and I want people to take away is like, what are some actions that they can take to take advantage of advice like that great advice that you gave, and maybe not so, because a lot of things in sales are like theoretical, right? Solution selling. It's like, everyone know, we should provide solutions. Yeah, we're solutions, but they don't talk so much about what that actually means, right? Like break that down.
Yeah.
So, how would you advise that people either put reminders in place or do things that can help them to take action to what you just
Well, the
shared?
thing is, Ron, it's actually a lot more complicated than this, because I actually teach this in my work now when I'm working with clients, and I'll just share this because anyone that's in sales or building a sales business can totally apply this to their business. And that is that you may be a salesperson, but you have to embody it. Two different things. Mm-hmm. The function is very different to embodying being a salesperson. So what do I mean by that? It means that I have to become the salesperson. I have to eat, breathe, and live that persona, if you will, on a day-to-day basis. But I have to fully be into it. So what stops us from being fully into it? It's emotions. It's actual emotions that cause the effect of being a brilliant salesperson and a mediocre salesperson. So, and I love the law of cause and effect, and I use this a lot as well, because if most of us focus on the effect, I've got to fix the effect. I've got to fix myself. I've got to fix the contract. I've got to fix the client. I've got to fix, what I'm proposing. I've got to fix the situation. I've got to fix something. But that's fixing the effect. The effect can't be fixed ever. The only thing that can be fixed is the cause. We have to always go back to the cause. And most of the time, the cause is us. We're the cause, so what is it about us that's causing us to be brilliant versus mediocre? And there's something at a not at a cellular level, it's at a soul level that is blocking us from actually shining bright like a diamond. And it's like this, it's almost like this layer of something that's an obstacle in our way that we can't seem to penetrate through. But if you go to the cause and you understand truly what is it that, like, when you're triggered, it's the biggest clue is you just ask yourself, what is not going right for me? Like, what am I struggling? Where's the pain happening in my life right now? And go there, because whatever pain that job or that situation or that negotiation is creating for you, we have to start there and understand what is causing this pain. What is causing me to not act as my highest potential? Why am I only acting mediocre? What's going on here? So it's a little bit more complicated than that. As I said, I teach this in the work that I do, but it's a great way for us because we're all salespeople, to be the best version of ourselves. And that does require an understanding of A, you've got to connect soul to soul, and B, if you want to go down that path and be unapologetically yourself, then we also have to clear some of those blocks that are in our way. And generally 99% of the time, it is an emotional block that's connected to the pain that you're experiencing in your life right now, or even in your job right now.
So here's what I took from that. You got to lean in, baby. You got to lean in. Listen, part of our mission with this platform and everything we're doing is to evangelize for this beautiful profession. And so many of you struggle with an identity crisis. And maybe you want to you're in sales, so we can get over to marketing. I thought that would be the path to marketing. Or I love what sales does for me, but I don't necessarily love saying I'm a salesperson. Or you feed into the bullshit that's out there, this negative stereotypes of what salespeople are, or good salespeople are, which we all know what great salespeople are great problem solvers and solution folks and relationship builders. That's what a great salesperson is. So that's what I'm pulling from what you just said, Mary. Like, we have to lean into this greatness that's waiting there for you. Accept it, own it, be it. Love it, and it will love you back. Love it. Okay. I could do this all day with you, right?
Yes,
but your clients would be pissed off at me because your schedule is always packed, which is why I thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to hop on with me. And it's just another reason I value our connection. I always, even though we don't talk as often as I'd like that to happen, I value our connection. I value your wisdom, and you just dropped some fantastic nuggets for our audience. So I'd like you to, if you could, just let people know what's the best way to reach you, connect with you, do business with you, work with you. How should they reach out to you?
Just email me, mary@maryhendersoncoaching.com. You can go on my website, maryhendersoncoaching.com. You can book a call with me and we can just have a chat, maryhendersoncoaching.com/apply. And of course, LinkedIn, Mary Henderson Coaching.
She will change your life. And if you miss all of that, just Google.
Yeah.
Just all you got to do is, if you go into Google and you put in Mary, boom, Mary Henderson pops up. That's it. You only got to go to the first four. I promise.
I love it.
Mary, you're the best.
Number one now on Google anyway for personal branding expert. I think I do. I'm pretty sure I do. So anyway, maybe just Google that.
I would not doubt it. So if all else fails, guys, Google Mary Henderson and you'll get like 10 pages of Mary Henderson. She owns the first 10 pages because that's what she does. Thank you again, my friend, for joining us.
Thank you, Renelle. Thank you so much.
Audience, wherever you are in the globe, again, thank you for honoring us with your listen, with your watch, however you're receiving this. We appreciate you. If you have questions, you want to reach out to one of our guests, again, look in the show notes. You'll always have some of their contact information. You can pop questions in on Spotify, YouTube. Those are the best ways to get questions to us that we can answer for you live. All right, guys, tons of wisdom bombs in this, tons of wisdom bombs. But if you don't remember any of this, which I don't know what the heck you're doing. If you can't, rewind it, listen to it again, watch it again. Always remember this one thing. Shh. Say less. All right. See you next time. Hey guys, it's Ronell, and I just wanted to thank you for listening to this episode of the Shut the Hell Up and Sell podcast. If you liked it, please rate us 5 stars on whichever podcasting platform you're listening to this on. And while you're at it, punch that subscribe button. That way you get notified every time we drop a brand new episode. Hey, I'd also appreciate it if you went to our website, shutthehellupandsell.com, and became a member. It's absolutely free, and you'll have the opportunity to listen to previous episodes of our podcast, check out some of our free courses, get a copy of the book, and we'll send you sales tips and motivational nuggets from time to time. Lastly, if you'd like to book me for either appearances or speaking engagements, just send an email to my team at team@shutthehellupandsell.com.